My team leader burst into my cubicle, tossed a pile of files on my desk, and snapped, "Fix all these tonight or don't bother coming back tomorrow." I looked up as he added, smirking, "Maybe if you were smarter, you wouldn't be everyone's doormat." Instead of arguing, I carefully followed his instructions word for word and watched as his entire quarter's metrics collapsed from his own mistakes, while I had every email to prove it was his doing. I've worked in data compliance for 5 years now, at a mid-sized insurance company in Columbus, Ohio. Nothing flashy, just rows of cubicles, recycled air, and a break room that always smells like burnt popcorn. I'm not important, not a manager or executive, just the person who makes sure our reports are correct before they go out. I've always been the quiet one. Not shy exactly, just not loud. I show up, do my work, don't complain. I'm one of those people you can count on to finish a project, but not someone who demands attention. I thought that would protect me in a place like this. I was wrong. Everything started going downhill when Clay Morrison got hired to lead our department. He came in like he owned the place. You know, the type, loud, full of fake charm, always trying to dominate meetings even when he didn't know what he was talking about. He had no background in compliance. He came from sales. That's probably why he cared more about looking in control than actually doing his job right. He didn't learn how we did things. Didn't ask questions. He just started throwing his weight around, changing processes he didn't understand, and making all of us clean up his messes. He singled me out from the beginning. I think he thought I was weak. I didn't talk back. I didn't push back when he dumped last-minute work on me. I thought if I just kept my head down, he'd eventually leave me alone. I was wrong again. He started calling me Mouse. To my face. In front of other people. "Hey Mouse, got a second? Mouse, you still chewing on that report?" He said it like it was funny. I laughed the first time nervously just to avoid confrontation. That was a mistake. Things got worse. He'd dump projects on my desk without warning, then blame me when they weren't finished on time. He'd forward me files without any context and expect me to know exactly what to do. Half the time, I was fixing mistakes he made without even realizing it. I started saving everything. Every email, every timestamp. I didn't even know why at first. Just felt like the smart thing to do. Then came the day everything changed. It was a Thursday. I remember because the whole office had been dragging that week, lots of late nights because the quarterly compliance reports were due. These weren't just internal files. These were the official reports that got submitted to the state and other agencies. We were supposed to double and triple check every figure. Any mistake could trigger an audit or fine. Our whole department's credibility was on the line. Clay hadn't done a single real review. He'd skipped every prep meeting. Instead, he had his buddy Kyle from the data team throw together spreadsheets without context or review. Then he signed off on them and dumped them on me to clean up. I was already working late every night. But that Thursday at 4:17 p.m., right before most people were wrapping up, he stormed into my cubicle. He tossed a stack of folders onto my desk. Not a few. A full pile.
Fic, un organized, no labels.
"Fix all these tonight," he said, loud and angry. "Or don't bother coming back tomorrow." I stared at him. "What are these?" He grinned. "Your mess." That was when I noticed 2 coworkers had looked over from their desks. They'd heard it too. "He wanted witnesses," he added with this smug, almost gleeful tone. "Maybe if you were smarter, you wouldn't be everyone's doormat." Then he walked away. I just sat there for a minute. I didn't say a word. I didn't cry even though I felt like it. I just stared at those folders. I opened the first one. It was the Q1 compliance packet for our property insurance division. I hadn't touched this one before. His signature was on the bottom of the summary page. That's when it hit me. He didn't want me to fix these. He wanted me to cover for him again. He wanted me to go in, find all the errors he and his team had made, and quietly fix them so it looked like everything was done right. That's what I'd been doing for months. But this time he gave me something else. A direct order. "Fix these tonight." He didn't say how. He didn't say review them or verify anything. He gave me vague orders in front of witnesses. So I made a choice. I stayed late. Not to fix his work, but to follow his instructions to the letter. I took every single folder. I opened each one, verified his signature and timestamps, and attached the cover sheet with his name on it. Then I submitted the full packets, unchanged, to our internal auditor and regulatory filing team. That was the protocol. Signed reports from team leads get submitted as final unless otherwise flagged. I didn't flag them. I didn't make edits. I didn't cover for him. Then I saved everything. Every email showing he sent those files. Every Slack message where he said he'd already reviewed everything. Security logs showing he left early every day that week. I even took screenshots of the metadata inside the files showing he wasn't the one who made most of the edits. And I waited. About 10 days later, things started to shake. It was a Monday morning when the first red flag went up. The internal audit team sent out a department-wide email. They'd found major inconsistencies in the Q1 filings. A full review was being launched. All compliance staff were ordered to preserve their files and not alter any submitted documents. The office got real quiet after that. Then a couple hours later, Marlene, our director of compliance, called a mandatory meeting. She rarely spoke to us directly. That alone told me it was serious. We packed into the second-floor conference room. Clay was already sitting at the head of the table, looking nervous but trying to act casual. He had his usual cocky posture, legs crossed, smirking like he was in control. Marlene didn't smile. She jumped straight in. We've discovered 16 discrepancies across 3 major reports from this quarter. These are not minor formatting issues. These are regulatory violations, errors in dollar amounts, missing signatures, and contradictory figures. People shifted in their seats. Clay stiffened. She looked directly at him. These were submitted under your name, Clay. Can you explain that? Clay tried to talk fast. Well, these reports pass through a lot of hands. I delegate reviews. I assumed final checks were being done by the team. I stayed quiet. I knew my moment was coming. Marlene raised an eyebrow. You assumed? You signed off. That makes you responsible. That's when he pointed the finger directly at me. I passed them to Hannah to finalize. She was supposed to review everything. Maybe she missed something. Everyone looked at me. I could feel my heart pounding. But I was ready. I followed your instructions, I said clearly, not yelling. Just loud enough. He laughed. You're really gonna try to flip this on me? I opened my laptop and turned it toward Marlene. Here's the email you sent me at 4:29 p.m. on March 14th. You told me, finalize and send as is. These are ready. Attached were the files already signed by you. I followed the exact process, submitted them according to protocol. She leaned in, reading. Then I handed her a flash drive. This has all the backups. Metadata, original files, timestamps, access logs. You'll see I didn't modify any of the documents. He did. Or rather, someone on his team did. But his name's on every final submission. Clay's face changed fast. Red. Then pale. Then red again. You've been saving all this, he snapped. I didn't answer. I didn't need to. Marlene gave him a cold stare. We'll take it from here. The meeting ended early. Everyone scattered, whispering as they went. I went back to my desk, my hands still shaking a little. Over the next week, things unraveled fast. Clay tried to throw other team members under the bus. He blamed Kyle, blamed me, even tried to say the audit team was out to get him. But the files spoke for themselves. Everything was timestamped, signed, traced back to his sloppy rush jobs. One by one, more people came forward. Turns out I wasn't the only one he bullied. Someone from the billing department said Clay yelled at her in front of clients. Another guy from IT said Clay ordered him to wipe error logs before a product review. This wasn't just one mistake. It was a pattern. And now it was all coming out. But the best part hadn't even happened yet. Because as Clay's little empire was falling apart, Marlene called me in again. One-on-one. She wanted more details, more documentation. I gave her everything. Even stuff I hadn't shared yet, screenshots of Clay joking about slipping one past the auditors, Slack messages where he said, "Let the mouse clean it up. That's what she's for." She didn't say much. Just thanked me. Said, "You've been very helpful. You did the right thing." And then silence. For a few days it felt like the whole company was holding its breath. But I knew. The storm was coming. The storm hit harder than I ever expected. It started with HR sending out a company-wide reminder about professional conduct, digital trails, and accountability. They never said Clay's name, but everyone knew. The tension in the building was thick. People walked quieter. No one lingered by the break room. Every time Clay passed through a department, you could feel people backing away without saying a word. Then came the suspension. Clay didn't come in on Wednesday. Or Thursday. Friday, someone from HR told the front desk to clean out his office, but not to touch the computer. It was sealed. Literally sealed with a red sticker that said "Do not access under investigation." We all knew it was serious now. But here's where it gets twisted. On Monday, Kyle, Clay's data guy, got pulled into a meeting with legal and IT. He looked wrecked coming out of it. He didn't even go back to his desk. Just walked straight to the elevator with a box under his arm. Gone. That same afternoon I got called to the HR floor. I figured they just needed more details. But when I got there, Marlene was waiting. And she wasn't alone. The head of legal was there. So was someone from the company's outside auditing firm. They sat me down and told me everything. Quietly. Like it was a secret. Apparently, the Q1 reports were just the surface. After digging into Clay's digital records, they found several doctored files going back to his second month at the company. Edits made after the sign-off, fake approval stamps, even manipulation of audit trail logs. And the most serious part, some of it involved government-regulated insurance filings. That's not just a fine. That's criminal. But that's not the twist. The twist was that Clay was trying to pin all of it on me. He'd been rewriting old emails, forwarding them to his personal account, then using them as evidence that I was the one who altered data. He even created fake Slack screenshots to make it look like I admitted to backdating a report. I was stunned. My stomach dropped. But legal smiled a little and said, "Don't worry. We already proved it was fake. His digital fingerprints are all over it." They told me the only reason they hadn't warned me earlier was because they needed to be sure if they had tipped him off too early, he could have wiped more evidence. So not only had he tried to publicly humiliate me, dump his mess on my desk, and risk the entire department's future, he was trying to quietly set me up to take the fall. I didn't even feel angry in that moment. I felt numb. But then came the real moment. Marlene leaned forward and said, "We've submitted a formal report to the state. Clay is under investigation for falsifying regulated documents. There will likely be legal consequences." I nodded slowly. I didn't smile. I didn't gloat. I just said, "Thank you for telling me." They said they'd keep me in the loop, and that the company would support me if I was contacted by investigators or regulators. I walked out of that office feeling a weird mix of power and sadness. I didn't want any of this to happen. I just wanted to be treated like a human being. But Clay tried to destroy my career. And now he was the one being erased. Later that week, I found out from someone in accounting that Clay had tried to access the building after hours using a deactivated badge. Security stopped him. That's when I realized he hadn't fully accepted it yet. He still thought he could fix it or talk his way out of it. But it was too late. That same day, I got an email from a private investigator working with the company's legal team. They wanted a sworn statement. And just like that, my paper trail, my quiet little archive, became the most important record in the whole case. I gave the statement. Everything I had. Dates, files, messages, quotes. I didn't hold anything back. A week later, a formal complaint was filed with the Ohio Department of Insurance. Clay was being investigated for falsifying state-regulated financial documents. The moment that happened, it went from a company scandal to a criminal matter. Clay wasn't just getting fired, he was looking at fines, possibly jail. But that wasn't the end. He didn't go down quietly. About 3 weeks after everything blew up, I got a letter. Not from Clay. From his lawyer. It was a cease and desist. He was accusing me of defamation. Said I damaged his reputation by spreading lies inside the company. My hand shook when I opened it. For a second, I actually panicked. I thought, maybe this will follow me. Maybe he'll drag me through court. Maybe people will believe him. Then I remembered. I had everything. Every email, every screenshot, every timestamp. Not rumors. Proof. So I called the company's legal team. They told me not to worry. It's a scare tactic, the attorney said. We'll handle it. Don't respond. And don't talk to him. The company filed their own legal response shutting him down fast. Turns out, trying to intimidate a whistleblower while under active state investigation? Not a smart move. Now here's where it gets satisfying. About a month later, Clay's name hit a public disciplinary database. His state insurance license was revoked. He was barred from working in the industry permanently. His LinkedIn disappeared a few days later. I heard through someone in HR that he'd been turned down by 6 other firms. No one would touch him. But that still wasn't the worst of it for him, at least. When investigators dug deeper, they found out he had falsified numbers at his previous company too. He'd gotten away with it because he jumped ship before it caught up to him. This time he didn't get to run. Charges were filed. 2 counts of filing fraudulent documents with a regulatory agency, plus company-level fraud. He got arrested. Not at home at his kid's soccer game. Right there on the field. Police walked up, cuffed him in front of a full crowd. Parents, kids, coaches. He was sentenced to 18 months probation and ordered to pay a hefty fine to the state. But the real punishment? He became radioactive. No industry would touch him again. His name was flagged on background checks. He went from driving a new Lexus to delivering for Instacart. And even that didn't last long. He couldn't get past the background check for most of the decent platforms. As for me, I didn't stay quiet anymore. I took a new job. Better pay, better title. Still in compliance, but now I run my own team. And guess what? I finally spoke at a company-wide meeting, something I'd never done before. I told the whole department about the importance of documentation and how doing things the right way even when it's hard matters. And the best part? I wasn't called Mouse anymore. I was Hannah, the one who saw it coming and did something about it. The VP of operations even pulled me aside one day and said, most people would have either blown up or shut down. You didn't do either. You just kept the receipts. She smiled, then added, you ever think about going into leadership? I smiled back. I am. Because in the end I didn't scream. I didn't beg. I just followed the rules. His rules. And when everything fell apart, he had no one left to blame but himself.